to go through the project, which is investigating the radiological aspect of Site 6. So we'll go through some very typical background information, because it's been a while since we've talked about it, where the field work is, some photos, and we'll tell you where we're going, what our project schedule is. Why are we doing this? Because we radiologically impacted it, and remember the terminology for impacting a site, you may have potential for radiological contamination. Why did we have that? Because we used it for low-level rad bin storage and other historical areas, uses of the site. The overall goal, and you'll hear this terminology a lot, free release. That is the terminology that the state of California, the California Department of Public Health, uses to basically say you do not have any other issues relative to rad at that site. That is the goal, is to get radiological free release for Site 6.
Right, and then following that, that will allow the chemical cleanup to start. And you'll be seeing that later on in the year. Bryce Bartemel will have a project where he'll do pre-remedial design sampling of the soil, once again, to really pinpoint the areas that will probably be excavated. And we've talked a little bit about that in the past. But so these have to go in a certain order, and we're doing the radiological issue first, followed by the chemical cleanup.
Correct. So again, the site description, tale of two parts of one site. You have the former firefighting training school, which really has nothing to do with the radiological aspect of the site. After the school was demolished, we came in and we started using it as storing the low-level rad waste bins. The triangle area, you can see right there, that's part of a historical salvage area. And so it's radiologically impacted for a different reason. This area right here, the former firefighting training school, is because we used it as part of our cleanup program. The triangle is impacted because historically, back in World War II timeframe, it was used for salvage activities. And this is key here, you may have handled scrap with radium markers or paint. That's basically what we're talking about. The field work going relatively well, 80% complete with the scanning and sampling. The volume of soil excavated of 1,550 cubic yards. And out of all that volume of soil, we found one object. And it's about the size of a quarter, it's right there. And it's a deck marker. You'll see descriptions of them in various reports. Fairly common thing found at Westside Drive, and once in a while you'll find them because they're attached to something that may have been recycled. We also found something interesting for the geologists in the group. Once in a while you find something that is of interest. It resembles something that you want to take a look at. In this case it's a rock, and about the size of a golf ball, and it's not radium. Is thorium, which is another radioisotope. So our equipment is sensitive enough that when we're going through the soil, we find things like this, not necessarily, deck markers and other objects.
And that's a great point, because what the regulators, when we went to the state of California, informed them of this, because that's what we do, we update them when we're in the field. Basically, they said, well, wow, that's a testament to one, the thoroughness of your screening, and two, the fact that you have very sensitive equipment that's calibrated and can even pick up these naturally occurring rocks that may be discovered. And here you can see again, it's not even a very large rock, but we were able to pick it out from the rest of the soil. Okay.
So on to some pictures. This is the site basically looking towards the north. So if you're standing in Site 6 looking north, you'll see building 461 in the background. Right here, they're basically removing some soil and material that was on the area and the former storage area. They remove it so that they can get a clean scan of what's underneath. And this is basically what you'll see of the workers collecting soil samples. So of note here, the type of protective clothing they're wearing, and just common tools, buckets, and sieves. In the background, you'll see the wastewater treatment plant. Surveys, you'll see workers, again, using survey equipment that looks a lot like this. Some of it is towed, some of it is handheld, but you'll see equipment with wires and other things like that. That's pretty standard for what they're using out there. And then again, here's another picture of a piece of equipment, again, removing some of the soil to get underneath so they can clear the concrete or asphalt underneath. The firefighting training area, throughout the years, there's been collection of material on top of building foundations and other areas. It's a very heterogeneous site. So some areas we just had some dirt that we have to clear off, scan, so that you can get a clean scan of the surface underneath. Dust control, of course, one of our top priorities. Anywhere we have loose soil, we're trying to get the dust down. Here we're applying the soil tack commonly known as Gorilla Snot. So that's in an area, this is along the shoreline there. Here's the corner of building 461. And again, just dust control constantly underway. The workers are applying basically water in that situation. Equipment cleaning, that's just part of the job. Every single day you're cleaning the equipment to make sure that it's properly cleaned, ready for use the next day. And of course trucks, another one of those top things, just constantly scanning, cleaning of the trucks in and out. July, next month, we hope to complete the field work, and we think we're on target to achieve that goal. Again, all the data, everything will be put into a report, a final status survey report. By the time it goes draft to the regulatory agencies, we will be Thanksgiving time, about November 2015.
And it's important to realize before we go, that right after, again, to tie this all in, right after Louis Cardinale is the project manager for this. As soon as he's done with this, right, then Bryce Bartelma will be out gathering data for the remedial design, the pre-remedial design sampling that will pinpoint some of the areas that we undoubtedly will be excavating.
Correct, and generally, we're finding good results. We're not finding a lot of anything. We found the one marker and the rock. That really is it. So we anticipate that we will be able to ultimately get free release and then move forward with the remedial action as planned.
Yeah. Okay, Chris.